Cavalry Week is over, and I didn't even get a chance to talk about cavalry that was actually buffed in the Latch Pass. All boar cavalry got substantially faster, and also there's a patch coming out tomorrow that seems to have something to do with cavalry, if the Creative Assembly's post on their Discord server is to be believed. And yeah, I swear I didn't plan this at all. You know, Cavalry Week ending right as a potential fix for cavalry comes out. We'll see exactly what the patch entails. By the time you guys are watching this, many of you, I should say, the patch will have already come out. But anyway, super fun game I had with Rider Rohan here, featuring a very savage build. It's all savage orcs plus some snacks. You know, we gotta have some snacks. So we got some gobos for the road here, 4 units of gobos, 5 savage orcs up front, or savage orc air boys, Warzag leading the way, savage orc boar boy biggins, which I think is the most words of any unit in the game in terms of their name, and the biggin rogue idol, because, you know, you just gotta have something there to really set the tone. Up against Rider Rohan here, he's got Eltharion the Grim in the air, a White Lion, front line, 5 White Lions, very good choice, Archers, Spearmen, and some Valyrian Reavers to back things up. So overall, I would say pretty strong. Metal Mage, Plague of Rust, very good with the Archers. As long as they don't get pounded too hard, I'll be able to do substantial damage to the Rogue Idol, which is why I'm actually throwing the rocks at the Archers here instead of at the White Lions. But yeah, back to Boar Cavalry just briefly. You know, Cavalry Week is officially over, but still, Boar Cavalry are quite good now. Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins in particular, because they have Frenzy, up to 64 charge bonus, 37 attacks, actually pretty good for Boar Cavalry. They have 35 armor plus physical resistance. And yeah, of course, Warzag will be giving them a slew of buffs. But here in this front line, the Savage Orcs will trade decently against the White Lions here, especially here with the Fists of Gork, up to 72 and 40. Of course, the Bonewood Staff also proccing, giving a nice map-wide buff to all of these Savage Orcs and the few Gobos that are in here as well. One of these Gobos does manage to get all the way into the back line and occupy some Archers here, which is just fantastic. Counter away from the Rogue Idol there, but here comes Eltharion. He's going to come in and start to get some terror routes going. A little bit of Brain Burst again to keep that Bonewood Staff up on top of Wa, now up to 72 attack on those basic Savage Orcs, but even still, they're not necessarily doing great in the front line. The charges from the Reavers are doing some pretty good damage. The Terror taking hold as well, and Lions are no pushovers, so that's not looking great. But my back line, kind of missile defense army almost for the Orcs here. As a sweeper roll, the Savage Orc Boar Biggins are going to come in here. They do have an anti-large bonus as well, so overall just very meaty stats. I mean, obviously 15 defense is very poor considering their cost, and the armor's not great either, but they have the mass of heavy cavalry, even though you may consider them light cavalry according to their armor. It's kind of arbitrary, these classifications that I talk about, heavy, light, medium, whatever. Typically I'm talking about armor when I use those terms. Someone was asking about that the other day. But anyway, Savage Orc Biggins, they're going to countercharge in here now. As my front line kind of crumbles, Eltharion's also a pretty big threat to Warzag, so I'm going to have to be careful of that. I've got Effigy to get in my pocket. Had a charge potentially on those White Lions, but instead going to pop another Fist of Gork. Of course, that magic damage means that if Eltharion pops Fang Sword here, that physical resistance won't do anything. And 62-39. With awesome armor-piercing anti-large weapon strength. We're going to be doing some pretty good damage to Eltharion. Meanwhile, Savage Orc Air Boys, pretty good armor-piercing damage as well. They're going to just shoot into these White Lions here. Even though they have missile resistance, we should be doing pretty substantial damage. And the Rogue Idol also just dunking in there. Meanwhile, the Elves have pretty much cleared up my infantry push here. I mean, Savage Orcs are basically completely done for in melee. I mean, we've got a handful more over here. These Gobos, though, coming in the fourth quarter, are going to try and use their silver shields to get in on those Archers, potentially get some map-wide buffs going, and get things back. Balance power basically still dead even. And I've got some Archers left. They have taken some pretty substantial losses. Savage Orc Air Boar Boys, rather. The Biggins here, 85 kills, up to 2 chevrons. I think they started with 1, but already have paid for themselves. They're now going to get a great charge in here along a lot of these tattered units, and because the White Lions, there's not enough models, and I don't think they have a direct counter-charge order here, so this interaction actually goes pretty well in favor of the Savages there, and also, you know, get back here, helping them hold their leadership. They get another XP chevron. That's just great, but the Archers are not long for this world. The Savage Orc Air Boys, that is. The Elven Archers are relatively secure, other than maybe getting some rocks tossed on them, but Eltharion's going to dive in. We hit him with an effigy to get here, and we're going to try and trap him once more. with Wurzag. Wurzag's a decent combatant. He's not the best. It's pretty risky to jump in here, honestly. But he'll be taking some damage from Effigy to get. I thought I could get the Savage Boar Boys in there again on another Fists of Gork timing push, but they just really couldn't path in. There's too much infantry and spearmen and other things here, so we're going to set the Rogue Idol into melee. Plague of Rust brings it down to 90 armor still because I haven't, it hasn't taken any damage. Obviously gets weaker over time as it takes damage, but yeah, the Savage Orc Boar Biggins going to be staying close. If we can get rid of these spearmen and get at Eltharion, suddenly we'll have him isolated with, my two single entities here. Wah being popped. It's going to put the Rogue Idol up to 109 melee attack with 750 weapon strength, so Eltharion definitely wants no part of that engagement. He is going to pop Apotheosis, try and get the heck out of there. Thankfully, I mean, the Rogue Idol hasn't actually got, like, maybe only one hit on him. Savage Orc Boar Boys actually probably did most of that damage right there. But, yeah, they are now done for, taking a few more volleys from the archers. They are just so low at this point. Only 9 models, 175 kills, though. Just awesome. And those Gobos did end up getting in there and, occupying the archers at least for some time. Pretty much down to the Rogue Idol and Wurzag, though. I mean, I've got a few kind of very tattered Savages and Snacks coming back. Now, Eltharion's just about at his healing cap, so that should be good for me. But the Rogue Idol's still somewhat vulnerable here because it started to take some damage. It's down to 120 armor, and this Plague of Rustcaster's still around. If it looks like there is still magic, just as I was talking about it, minus 60, so down to 60, meaning all that Archer Fire is going to do substantially more. I say all that Archer Fire. There's not a lot of models of Archers left, which is certainly in my favor, but I'm going to choose to just refuel ammo here, just pull some rocks off the chest and shoot back, rather than trying to advance here. I figure it's better to just throw some rocks, try and bait Eltharion down, and maybe get him into melee here. I'm keeping Wurzag close to the Rogue Idol, just in case, but we're going to pop Fists of Gork on Wurzag himself. He goes up to 87 melee attack, 49 melee defense, got pretty good weapon strength, and 104 charge bonus. I mean, certainly most people don't think of Wurzag as a caster-fighter hybrid, but with that timing push of Fists of Gork plus Bonewood Staff on himself, he absolutely is, and he's going to jump in here. And granted, a little bit of RNG, I could have potentially lost this, actually, but he ends up winning against Eltharion. The Gobos may have helped out a little bit there, plus the Savage Orc Airboys, and basically as soon as Eltharion goes down, that's game. So, very good game. Actually ended up being quite close there at the end. Great game to ride, Rohan. Fun build. I have to say, this is probably not super viable in a lot of cases, but it ended up working out okay here. I would say from Rohan's perspective, if I recall from this patron practice session, we had sort of thought about trying Eltharion, and I do think Eltharion used correctly is going to be potentially good against Greenskins. Just the fact that he's kind of a mobile tank, you can apply terror across the battlefield. I forget exactly what we had kind of discussed in terms of actual composition. White Lions do pretty good here at times, but, arguable that maybe they should be a more defensive infantry. I don't remember exactly what the discussion was for the High Elf build, but it's probably secret anyway, right? Not really, but you get it. Yeah, but the Boar Boys, man, up to 1,800 damage value, 175 kills, just awesome stuff. Rogue Idol, 2,200, 2,300 for Wurzag, so that's great. One of the Snacks, graduates to not getting eaten. 600 damage value and 69 kills, very nice for those Gobos. Savage Orcs mostly get cleaned in the front line. A couple of them pay for themselves. I guess 3 of them actually pay for themselves. A couple of them kind of get canned on there. The Savage Orc Airboys, you might think actually got more value there, but they in fact did not. They mostly just kind of hung around as a secondary infantry line, which is just fine. But yeah, very fun game. Rogue Idol, a little bit risky sometimes, but the Boar Cavalry in general is much better than it was before, and it was already pretty decent before. It wasn't great, but, I famously, many of you may remember I went on a rant about the Boar Cavalry when they buffed them and gave the Greenskins very few other changes. It remains to be seen whether we'll see any balance changes in the patch tomorrow. I certainly do hope maybe a couple nerfs for Greenskins, maybe a couple buffs for High Elves, but hey, at the very least, fixing the bugs would be the best thing they could do, so let's hope for that. Orc Boar Boys, Savage Orc Boar Boys, Boar Biggins, Savage Boar Biggins, and of course, Regiment Renown. broken tusk mobs, all 70 speed now, so there's no variation whatsoever. It used to be that the savages were a little bit faster. Mostly now it's variations in armor. Obviously, physical resistance is... Savage Orc Boar Boys have physical resistance in Frenzy, and generally a little bit less defense and higher attack. They do still have some armor, unlike the Savage Infantry, which have 0 armor. But, yeah, because of that extra charge bonus from Frenzy, in many ways, you know, if you don't necessarily need the shield of the Orc Boar Boys, Savage Boar Boys may be better. The Frenzy also gives them a little bit more leadership initially, because they are not going to be subject to fear with that immune to psychology. Savage Orc Boar Boys also a little bit more weapon strength as well than the, the Biggins specifically, than the regular Biggins. 6 less melee defense is pretty substantial, but, I mean, given that they're Shock Cavalry, you really want them just to be getting good charges and getting out anyway. The extra speed helps more than anything. 24 AP, 5 bonus versus large is not that much. Against large targets, 12 for the Orc Boar Boar Biggins does kind of even out that, more than even out that weapon strength, actually. Then obviously you consider charge bonus, and again, the higher charge bonus to begin with gets even higher with Frenzy, so personally, you know, I need to do some more testing, but I would say on paper at least it looks like Boar Boys, the Savages, are worth the 100 to 150 point upgrade over the base version, but I do need to play around a little bit more with them and see for myself. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.